All right, we're ready to start the February 2nd, 2022 Citizens Advisory Committee meeting. We are doing a live transcription tonight, so if you are speaking, it's going to be really important that you say your name first, please. And we're ready to start the meeting. If those of us here in the auditorium want to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see, you want to do roll call?
Certainly. Committee Member Knight,
I'm Will Knight and I'm here.
Committee Member Wheaton, Committee Member Harrington,
Here.
Committee Member Lumiere,
I'm here.
Committee Member Moon,
Here.
Committee Member Lawrence, okay, Committee Member Barney, Committee Member Castillo,
Here.
Committee Member Rizzo,
Here.
Committee Member Hinshaw,
Present.
and Chair Reynolds.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Paul and Councilmember Glantz, thank you for joining us. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? If so, now would be the time.
It's me. Come on. So dramatic, Victoria.
Yes, Paul, how can I help you?
Hi, Shelley Paul Wilcox. I actually have a question about the agenda. I noticed there was a reference to a potential council resolution, but I didn't see anything in the packet concerning that. So that was my question. Thank you.
Melissa?
Oh, yes. That is it related to our city event calendar, and our guest presenter, Marley, will be addressing that.
Any other comment from the public? Paul, I think what Melissa said, if you heard her, is that question will be answered here shortly.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right. Marley, do you want to start on the events in the city?
Specific spot you want me to sit so the mic picks me up? Sufficient?
I'll bring you a mic,
Thanks.
and then I will share the presentation momentarily.
No worries.
Thanks, and I'm gonna hand out an updated version of what I included in the packet. Some changes have been made. And Melissa has a copy of that she can hopefully share with you all. Maybe in the chat. I don't know if that's possible with documents.
I'll look at that. I think I may email it out afterward, but I'll see if I can do that in the meantime.
Well, it's similar to the substance hasn't changed. Oh, I guess they didn't have the definitions in their packages. That's right. Okay. Well, I included them in the presentation, so it's okay if they don't have this in front of them because the presentation is different. And then I also have stickers from our events. If anyone wants them, feel free. I'll just leave them right here. Hello, everyone. I am Marley Boxler. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for the City of Troutdale, and I'm going to give you all a presentation on a 2021 recap of the city events. First, I can start with answering Paul's question, though, so that he doesn't have to wait through the whole presentation to get an answer. I don't have resolution language to be sharing with you all tonight. It's just a concept that Chris, the Community Development Director, and myself have been beginning to work on. And it is important for CIC just because you all were the ones who created the city event section of the municipal code. And so this could be potentially added into that section if we were going to do that. But I don't have specific resolution language for you today. So you can go to the next slide, please. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I don't think it's saved for. Well, that's okay. I think it's fine. Okay, so to begin, prior to 2021, the city was not responsible for being the primary planner of city events, I should say. We contracted with the West Columbia Gorge Chamber to focus on our events, and they primarily focused on the Summerfest event. And in July of 2020, the city retained the TLT money for tourism and events and placed city staff in charge of those events. Due to the pandemic, Summerfest did not happen in 2020 or 2021. And the tree lighting was virtual in 2020. If anyone remembers that, it's still on YouTube if you want to watch it. We can go next slide. So the first event that we really focused on was the First Friday Art Walk. We can go next again. These are some fun photos from the event. The First Friday Art Walks are monthly events that have been happening in Troutdale for the past 20 years. And they were started by Donna Irwin, the owner of Columbia River Gallery in our downtown. When we approached her about our desire to coordinate the event, she was very excited to receive our help and encouraged to see that the city had a newfound interest in supporting the art community and our downtown businesses through these events. Our events team, which consists of myself, Kimberly Carl, Molly King, and Kevin Mooney, each brought different talents and perspectives to the table, and we got to work planning the summer events, which would kick off in June and end in October. As the economic development coordinator, one of the primary questions I would ask myself when brainstorming and planning is, will this help support our downtown and its businesses? Go next slide. So that question really drove a lot of the changes that we made for the event. The first change was that we introduced the street closure. Given the pandemic, we felt that this was the perfect time to test out closing the streets for events, as it allowed us to provide more outdoor seating for restaurants, extended storefronts for retail establishments, and room for visitors to social distance and not crowd on sidewalks. It also provided us with the opportunity to invite vendors to join in us at the event. Many of our vendors were even Troutdale home occupations that had sprung up and expanded during the pandemic. And the events allowed them the ability to connect with the community for the first time. I'm actually going to stay on. I have more to say on the other side, but it's okay. The second new element we added was the Little Trout Kids Zone, which was run by Shooting Star Adventures, who works with Molly and our recreation division to put on some of our summer camps that we host. Often people associate First Fridays with expensive art and wine, neither of which are very kid-friendly. So during our town center planning efforts, we listened to many community members who expressed a desire for more family-friendly things to do. And the Kids Zone provided the perfect opportunity to help promote our summer camps and recreation programs, as well as give kids a fun activity to participate in, while their parents enjoyed live music playing at Mayor Square, which was another new addition to the event. Because the street was closed to vehicular traffic, we needed to find additional places for visitors to park. We were able to use the vacant lot across from the sheriff's office and the lot adjacent to the Troutdale Arts Center. Over the course of the summer, we invested in increased signage and flaggers to help direct people to this additional parking. Finally, we used the city's larger reaching social media accounts and the newly created Explore Troutdale tourism accounts to help promote the events. August saw our highest Facebook event page engagement with 919 responses and a reach of 15,619 people. Diving further into those numbers, we know that 22% of those 919 respondents are women between the ages of 45 and 54. 19% were women between 35 and 44, and 17% were women between 55 and 64. This data has helped us better understand who's viewing the events online and making their event planning decisions for their families. We also hired a professional photographer to be at every first Friday, and even a film crew for the September event to provide us with a large library of marketing images for all of our future promotions of the event. Now we can go. So some opportunities for improvement for 2022. We would like to continue streamlining the procedures and timing of the road closure to make this the most beneficial experience for both the vendors setting up, the people who are visiting our downtown during that time period, people who are commuting to and from their homes during that time period. Anything we can do to help make that a more smooth process will definitely be beneficial for us. We also want to increase our marketing to areas outside of 50 miles to hopefully increase tourism and hotel stays for the area and connect with other attractions in our area, such as Edgefield, the Troutdale Arts Center, and the Mount Hood Community College Jazz Festival, which happens to be the same weekend as the first Friday of this year, which is in May. Another big thing was the staff morale. We all really loved working the events, but it is a lot of hard work, especially on the day of the events. And we stay late to clean up and whatnot. And so we want to just help encourage a healthy work-life balance and making sure that everyone takes off the time that they need post-event so that they can recover from all of that. And also increasing our pool of volunteers. That was another really important thing so that we weren't relying so heavily on city staff for some of those responsibilities. Another thing that we would like to improve on is transportation, whether that be investing in a shuttle service to increase parking opportunities beyond the downtown, and also being able to increase our ADA accessible parking options. That was something that was, since we had the street closed, a number of those parking spaces weren't available anymore. And as we all know, Troutdale is on a hill and is not as accessible as we would like it to be. So we would love to be able to prioritize ADA parking in the spaces that are the closest to the downtown street closure. So then on the next slide, we will be talking about movies in the park and Merry Movie Day. So we can, keep going. So Movies in the Park and Merry Movie Day are both events that are sponsored by the Recreation Department rather than Economic Development. So that's where it differs from the First Friday events. And these events are geared towards our local community and providing them with free entertainment opportunities. We work with Tone Proper, who provides all of the wonderful equipment and really brings an element of professionalism to the event that we're all proud to be able to provide our citizens. As you can see in the photos, there's the LED wall screen, which is able to be seen during the day and at night, which allows us to show double feature movies, which is really great. This year we showed Raya and Raiders of the Lost Ark. And while we had to postpone Movies in the Park event multiple times due to extreme weather events, we were finally able to put it on in September, and it was a huge success. We received a lot of positive feedback from the community. One Troutdale resident, whose name is Cassie, emailed us and said, "We attended the Raiders of the Lost Ark show with some of our out-of-town friends, and we all agreed it was an absolutely wonderful event. The visual quality of the screen, the sound, the food accommodations, and the atmosphere paired with the great low price of free made us beyond pleased. We loved it so much, I knew I had to reach out to someone, anyone, and say thank you. All of the volunteers worked so hard and were so wonderful. Thank you to all the team who made it happen." So then at the end of the year, we had the Winter Wonderland and Tree Lighting event. You know, the city of Troutdale and Kiwanis of the Columbia Gorge have put on the tree lighting for years. But in 2021, you can progress, sorry. But in 2021, we switched things up a bit and expanded the event so that we could provide more things to do during the event. So while the event had historically been on the first Friday of December, the city's desire to make First Fridays a summer event caused us to ask ourselves, do we need to have the tree lighting at 7:30 p.m. on a Friday evening anymore when it's very cold? Due to not wanting to compete with neighboring cities' tree lightings, we landed on the first Sunday of December for the event and moved the tree lighting ceremony to earlier in the evening, keeping the bulk of the day's events during the daylight hours to help reduce the impacts of our #1 complaint every year, the weather. By moving much of the event to the daylight hours, we were able to create a more family-friendly event. Additionally, it was a benefit to the restaurants, who now had increased customers for both lunch and dinner. This was the first event that the city staff formally sought sponsors for, and we're proud to report that we raised $12,000 to help put on the event. Much of this funding went towards everything needed to create the holiday market at the Mayor's Square parking lot that we filled with craft vendors. The first 500 adults to attend the holiday market received swag bags filled with items from our sponsors, and we handed out all of them sometime between 3 and 4 p.m. Mayor's Square was filled with people throughout the day, and we had live music in front of the tree and the chapel handing out free cookies and cocoa from their food cart. We are very grateful to them for doing that. Down the street, we converted the front of Furwood Design Group's building into Santa's workshop, invited kids of all ages for selfies with Santa. Another thing that we are very grateful for was the ability to use that space. It was perfect for what we needed. To encourage downtown business participation, we created a Troutdale Teddy scavenger hunt and window/storefront decorating contest. For the scavenger hunt, visitors had to find the Troutdale Teddies in the participating businesses and get their cards stamped. If they collected all of the stamps, they received a free gift. This was a huge hit with the community, and we handed out just over 300 gifts. The window decorating contest had the town feeling more festive, and the community voted for Rosebud Boutique Salon as the winner and Bandits Bar and Grill as the runner-up. So some opportunities for improvement for the Winter Wonderland and tree lighting would again be the road closure. Anything we can do. We didn't close the road in 2021, but we received some complaints on Facebook following the event that we should have closed the road to increase safety, especially with so many kids running around. So I think that in 2022, we will be closing the road in order to increase safety, and we will be hiring flaggers as well for that event. I think that we might also consider a new location for the holiday market with the street closed, but that's something we're going to investigate with the tent provider themselves. Again, we want to increase that marketing so that we can get some more tourism and hotel stays and the transportation as well. And for lighting, we would love to research lighting options for the whole downtown. One of the things that we struggle with is that many of the downtown storefronts don't have exterior outlets. And so Christmas lights aren't possible for them. And so if we could come up with a way that we could do citywide lighting for the downtown and help make that possible, I think it would add a great amenity for the downtown during the Christmas season, and it would definitely get more people out and about shopping. So we did receive quite a bit of positive feedback from not only community members, but the businesses too. And so to share some of those comments, Leslie, who owns the Way Out Inn, which I should note they are rebranding. So you might see the Way Out Inn signs go away sometime soon. They are going to be called Lolo's Boss Pizza. We don't want anyone to be confused and think it's a new pizza place. It's still Leslie and the staff that we all know and love over there. She said those events not only gave us a huge boost on the nights of, but I think they were really good for our exposure in business overall. We had record nights during the first Fridays and our best December ever. I think that that's something that's really important to point out, is that even during a pandemic, we created record-breaking nights for these businesses with the help of these events. So I think it's just really showing how the community came out and supported. Jean Lynn, who owns the new business Artistry Northwest, which is right next to Troutini and Grateful Coffee and Flowers, said, "It was a great day for me. Not only do I enjoy the community aspect, it was our busiest day of the month. Being a new store and taking part in the scavenger hunt was probably the best marketing strategy of all. Everyone had to come into our store if they wanted to receive their gift. I loved it. Good job." And then finally, Kaylin, who owns Columbia Gorge Salon and Spa, also participated in the Winter Wonderland event, even though they aren't normally open on Sundays. So they stayed open an additional day and staffed their business an additional day just to be a part of the event. And she said, Just wanted to shout out and say thank you for your efforts for yesterday's event. We aren't typically open on Sundays, but despite that, we had some great retail sales of products and gift certificates, and even booked some brand new clients that hadn't been in our shop before. Loving the new energy in our little town. So that was all very nice things to hear from the community. So a number of our businesses, as I just expressed, reported increased sales because of the events, which is incredible given that we're in the middle of a pandemic. Another business that had a positive benefit was Red Trillium Gallery. They stated that during the June 1st Friday, they did 5 times what they averaged for First Friday during COVID, meaning March 20th through May 2021, or March 2020 through May 2021. They also reported that they had over 65% new customers at that event. Some other great positive impacts of community events are increased engagement with the community, boosted visits to the downtown, positive attention to Troutdale from the wider metro area and around the state. It adds to our sense of community and creates free, family-friendly entertainment options for our community members. So then finally, the information on the resolution language that we were sort of talking about earlier is categorizing events for 2022. One of the things that we noticed in 2021 was that there was some challenges between where city staff responsibilities lie for certain events, like were we responsible for providing road closure assistance or not? And so helping to define that a little bit better can help set clearer expectations for the future. So we came up with 3 different categories, but within category 1, there's 2 different types of events. So we have the city-run tourism events, which are those community events that are put on by city staff and marketed to the community beyond 50 miles to increase tourism and overnight stays. And these events are intended to increase tourism and economic development within Troutdale. So in the calendar that I had sent you all, you'll notice that the First Friday art walks are considered tourism, city run events, and the Winter Wonderland event. Since I changed it a little bit, as I mentioned earlier, I added the Fall Festival of the Arts, which was rescheduled from the fall to the spring because that's when the Omicron variant started to really uptick. And so they're doing a falling into spring event, and that's May 21st and 22nd. And that's also considered well, that one's an interesting one because it is a tourism event, but the city is not responsible for running it. So it actually falls under city sponsored. But we do hope that that event increases tourism for our community. The second category is the city run Parks and Rec, which are community events that are put on by city staff and that are marketed pretty much just to our community members and seen as a positive impact of living in our community. So that's going to be our Merry Movie Day and our Movies in the Park, as well as all of the recreation programs that we put on in general. City sponsored are events that are put on by outside organizations and that city staff are not involved in putting on, but a financial contribution is made from the city. So as I mentioned before, Fall Festival of the Arts, they did receive a financial contribution from the city, so that would be considered city sponsored. We also provided a financial contribution to the Troutdale Cruisin', which is put on by the Kiwanis Club. So that would be another one. One of our hopes is that by designating specific city sponsored events, we can hopefully budget for them in the future. And instead of those organizations having to go to council every single time, those things are already budgeted in advance for them to hopefully streamline those procedures for the small organizations. Finally, city approved are just events that are put on by outside organizations and the city is not involved with putting them on. And in addition to that, no financial contribution is made. An example of that would be the Bigfoot Festival, which we haven't had for the past couple of years because of the pandemic, but I have heard it is coming back this summer. So we will see. Again, those events are a little bit tougher because we're involved in the approval process, but we really don't assist them in any other elements of it. And so it really can put a strain on the city at times if they are not successfully well run. So That's one of those challenging ones. And all of this language is not supposed to circumvent the standards that are already written in the municipal code. So the approval standards and the permitting requirements would still remain. This is just an attempt at hopefully categorizing things a little bit better so that when we are budgeting for city staff hours and expectations for overtime, we know which events that's in response to. And that is what I have. And I think it's a decent segue for what Melissa has next. So yeah, thank you for your time and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Marley, very much.
Thank you, Marley.
Can I have a couple comments real quick?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I just didn't know what the procedure was.
This is Diane. I just wanted to say that at the Wonderland, the energy was amazing. It created a wonderful opportunity for community to gather. The kids had so much fun dancing and stuff. A recommendation would be to have the music longer, a longer time before Santa and the lighting gets announced if possible, because the kids just use that whole green space to just dance, and that was so much fun.
The live music or the
live music.
Okay, the live music. Yeah.
The live music. The kids took that as an opportunity to to dance around.
It's fun whenever we finally see kids out there playing on the, it's so funny because at the other events, it feels like everyone doesn't want to touch the grass. They're all like standing away from the grass, but kids are always the ones who are like, let's play on the grass.
Yeah, they took over, so the move was so magical that it could have lasted longer, before the Santa thing, and that would be really nice. And then since I live across from the Bigfoot Festival, the last time they parked, that was a logistic nightmare. Cops were frustrated. It was bad, and a lot of people that had signed up for special guest presentations, they weren't even able to park to get there in time to see that. So I'm just saying that's huge. So that they even need help with the traffic between my property and across the street.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's but we can talk later, but that's a huge issue of frustration, because it's so successful and everybody loves Troutdale. They said they felt like we were any moment Bigfoot could step out, they were all excited, and there's a lot of cool, interesting people that go to the event, and it's good for Troutdale, but that's just something that needs to be carefully navigated. And you didn't mention anything about Summerfest. Is that what is going on possibly with that?
That's a good question. We don't have any direction at this time to move forward with Summerfest or to not move forward with Summerfest. So city staff is unsure what is going to happen with Summerfest. That can potentially be a question for council on what they would like to see happen with the event in the future. The parade is logistically more difficult than First Fridays to coordinate, just because it does involve a larger road closure. It goes all the way to the Troutdale Bridge, which involves ODOT and more of Multnomah County, and it disrupts our emergency response routes. So it is more difficult to logistically put on, but I can't say with 100% certainty what will happen with that event.
Okay, so suggestion might be, I've been going to the Corbett one, and that's a blast. And so I don't know if there's a way we could in a small way participate as well. So like our parks thing that they have, that they have in Snowfest and others. And I think the Leanies are a big part of it, which have always been a big part of Troutdale as well, since the business is there.
Yeah.
So there might be an opportunity for us to commingle a bit.
Yeah.
And something like that, since they do such a good job and it is close.
Yeah, they do a wonderful job with their event and with their parade. So I think that's a great suggestion to look into ways in which we can participate in that event as well.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, thank you. Everything, the marketing, everything you've been doing, it's very heartfelt, and it's just one. It's really great, because we need those opportunities navigating with COVID, the community together, so people can feel a little bit normal.
Yeah.
And that's exactly. Everybody was just so ready for the winter wonderland event.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge part of it as well.
Yeah, and the weather really was on our side for everything. We didn't have, like, throughout the whole summer and for the winter wonderland event, the weather just really came out, which was wonderful as well. I think that helped with things a lot.
Yes, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
I have something. Marley, would you mind if I put you on camera? We haven't introduced you
Oh,
visually to.
Yep.
So meet Marley Boxler, our economic coordinator.
hi, everyone.
I'll leave this here for the rest of Q&A if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Diane. Do we have any other questions for Marley? Public, feel free to chime in if you'd like. Paul, Councilmember Glantz.
I'm just here to listen. I know sometimes I get in trouble if I make comments and then it comes before council that evidently is some kind of conflict of interest, so.
Go ahead, Will.
Hey, Marley. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all of your hard work, and Chris and your team and the volunteers for the First Fridays and the Winter Wonderland. And I'm excited to see that the events are creating such a positive impact and buy-in from the shop owners and restaurateurs and so on down there who may have been originally hesitant towards such things. And again, I will reiterate what Keelan from the spa said, that I'm loving the new energy in our little town. And again, very thankful and appreciative for all your hard work for doing that. So thank you.
Thanks, Will. I appreciate it.
Sure. Anybody else? Right, thank you, Marley.
Yeah, thank you. And if you do have any questions in the future, feel free to email me as well. I'm sure Melissa can share my contact info with you all. And make sure you come on out for the First Fridays. They start in May this year, which is different than last year. Last year we started in June and went through October, and that's another thing we changed is this year they will start in May and end in September. So hope to see you all there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we move on to the next agenda item for the official record, I just want to make a note that Dave Wheaton joined the meeting after roll call, but well before the presentation. So he was present for this meeting today. And then I think, Melissa, you have the next agenda item.
Thank you. Yes. I'm pulling up the presentation, just another moment. Okay, great. Okay, sorry about that. I think it's all set now. So yes, I wanted to continue this conversation that we were having last time about public engagement. I was happy to hear that there was a lot of interest in continuing this discussion and brainstorming some ideas about how we can increase public engagement, engagement with CAC and with our planning and events around the city. So some questions that I'll be asking tonight, and I'll come back to the slide at the end of the presentation. I'd like to discuss tonight, continuing forward that conversation about our participation in events. Also talk a little bit more about ways that we can increase public participation at our meetings. I heard some discussion of subcommittees last time, so we can have that for discussion topic again tonight. And if we want to consider putting something in the future in the Champion newsletter, and then opening up for any other conversation that committee members would like to bring up. And also, before I dive into the presentation, I wanted to follow up on a couple specific ideas that were brought up last time. One was on creating flyers, maybe having a QR code that goes directly to our website. So yes, that is something that I can work on for our committee, providing for a specific topic that we are working on a flyer for that outreach topic or project that we can use or have at a table at an event. So I'm happy to create that. Another idea that was brought up is if for the transportation system plan, can we have that on the website on its own specific project plan? I shared with you last time the roundabout project in Fairview, and they had a specific flyer for it and a specific website with a short URL. So yes, we can work on that as well. And I can do that on the TSP or another topic that we have to be working on. On the website, we would be able to incorporate a comment form on there. So ask more of an open-ended question. That is more immediately easy to implement versus a survey. If we wanted to do a survey, we'd want to talk about that for a few more months and really have a specific need for that survey. So that could be a longer conversation, but that could be open to us in the future. If we have a subcommittee interest, usually staff would sit on a subcommittee, so I can offer my time. Depending on the topic, I could also seek out if another staff member in the city would be interested in that subcommittee. They'd need to be small, so a quorum wasn't on there, but we could have more of a free-flowing conversation on a specific topic. Another idea that was brought up last time was if we could maybe increase participation in this meeting by having a satellite meeting location, like at the library, use the conference room and project the meeting. Perhaps I did stop by the library and I asked, unfortunately, the conference room is not available at this time to reserve because of their COVID restrictions. So that could be something we could circle back to in the future. But I had an idea because I attended a Parks Advisory Committee meeting a couple weeks ago to present on one of our the Sandy Riverfront Trail project. And I noticed one of the attendees had a few people, like their household, on the camera. So I wanted to suggest, if that was something you were interested in, if you were home and you wanted to host with your family members or have a friend over, or maybe through your workplace, if you had access to a meeting room there, if you wanted to invite people, that might be one way to increase attendance if you were to kind of host a satellite somewhere that you were comfortable with. Social media posts. I was looking at the event posts for our meetings and some of the other meetings, and the recommendation was to have our agenda items listed. And while I noticed you can't see it when you scroll through, if you click on the event, there is a listing on there, and the last few were pretty good. So if you have more feedback about social media, I can convey that to our staff person in charge of social media, but I did follow up and check on that. And a recommendation I also heard last time was to have a town hall with city council, and I was checking with staff, and we haven't done that in the past. I do want to reiterate that similar to our meeting, they do have the first item is meetings or comments not on the agenda. So you're always welcome to go to city council if you have something that you would like to bring to their attention and voice that at any of the meetings. Just like somebody can come here and at the beginning of our meeting, say something not related to the agenda or bring something to our attention, or even throughout our meeting, our public is allowed to comment. So we'll continue that practice here. And as far as a town hall, if we wanted to have something with that name, we could also host one ourselves in the future, maybe a couple months from now, give us a chance to plan for it. So I wanted to let you know that I followed up on those specific recommendations and happy to continue the conversation on that in the future. I wanted to share some data that I found. I think it's easier to have conversations like these when we have some data to kind of go on. And it happens that Wood Village has recently had some surveys on public engagement. And I think them being a neighboring community, that their findings can help inform the beginning of our conversation about public engagement. And I want to thank Committee Member Hinshaw for finding the survey and alerting me to it. The 2022 survey is still open, and they ask which community you live in. So if you want to take Wood Village's survey, you can click that you're from Troutdale, and they will appreciate that feedback. And this is still open, so you can still go ahead and do that. At the time that I made the packet, I hadn't heard back from Wood Village on the 2022 results, but I did have the results from their 2020 survey, which is very similar questions, a couple differences, but very similar. So in your packet, I gave you the data from 2020. Today, they responded and gave me data for 2022, so I'll include that in the presentation. So in 2020, they did their survey between October and November. They got 24 responses, and they advertised this on their website. They put it on social media and the village newsletter, similar to our champion, and they had it at fall events. In 2022, they've had a much longer, well, it's informing, they call it 2022, but it started in 2021. So it's been up since August. They did have an incentive prize for participating in this content, or in this survey. And they got about 65 responses. Some responses were from Troutdale. Okay, so here's a look. This one's from the 2021. How do you typically hear about city events? By far, their local newsletter. And then that was followed by word of mouth and flyers. In 2020 and 2022, they asked the same question. How would you like to be notified of city events? So not how did you hear, but how would you like to hear? And the local newsletter was still the highest, followed by direct email, and then print, so postal mail or flyers. And that was pretty similar in 2020 to 2022. Newsletter consistently won out. Email is a good second contender. And in 2022, they asked about text as well, which got a good response. The barriers that were mentioned in both 2020 and 2022 were availability and schedules. So people are available to come at this time and short notice or didn't get notice. We're pretty high in both surveys, both years. In 2020, they asked, well, what would help you participate? So having weekend or evening events or meetings, more notice, better notice, food and snacks. And it was pretty split in 2020 for virtual versus in-person, a lot of neutral responses, but it does skew to preferring to be in person. And they found that again in 2022, but they asked the question a little differently in 2022. Instead of asking about virtual, they asked about hybrid. So for us, this meeting will continue to offer the virtual component. So we do in person, we can continue that as well. And then as we talked about last time, the state's requiring the virtual component still be included. So we've got both our bases covered going forward. And I thought this was interesting in 2020. All of the surveys were submitted electronically, but they were able to tell how they were submitted. And I was surprised how few were submitted by web browser. So mainly people are submitting these on their phones. So it might be something to keep in mind if we do a survey or flyer or questionnaire to make sure that it works on a mobile device. I guess and I'm interested in your feedback when we come to the discussion section, but I think my takeaways were like how important the champion newsletter can be for us. We can put a little bit more information in there, maybe a summary of our upcoming agenda topics, or having a little more of an article in there. Our meeting is listed on the sidebar, but I think if you've never come to this meeting, or if you didn't know what the Citizens Advisory Committee is, it might not resonate with you as a listing in the sidebar there. So, we don't currently have an email list to distribute the agenda packet to other than our committee members. And so that would be something I'd be willing to do, is collect emails for people that visit, or if we were at an event and we wanted to start an email list there, I could do a second email and send out our packet to people that were interested in attending. Flyers, yes, I'm willing to produce that for projects that we're working on. Word of mouth was found to be pretty powerful in recruiting attendees in those both years of the survey. And if we do go ahead and decide to have an outreach booth at the events that Marley was describing, I was thinking that flyers, word of mouth, and curating an email list could all be activities that we could do at that event, so that could really amplify those methods. So for event participation, there's some ways that the Citizen Advisory Committee can help out. Kind of two distinct roles. If we're interested, general event support is always welcome, and we can sign up to do setup, cleanup, or help with the parking. Another thing we could do is develop an outreach table and sign up for volunteer shifts at that. So that might involve thinking about what outreach topic do we want to have there. It could be as simple as come be involved with the Citizens Advisory Committee, or we could do recruitment for committees that have vacancies, or talk about our transportation system plan project and update. So something that we'll want to talk about tonight might be what kind of topics would we want to do outreach on, what type of display items, activities, and materials might we want, and how many events could we reasonably commit to, do you suppose? So the dates Marley shared for Fridays are May through September, and then we'll have Winter Wonderland. And I'd also like to talk about if we do want to have a booth in May, committee member recruitment will be open for a variety of committees around Troutdale. Well, it will be close to that opening. So if we perhaps ask council to extend committee recruitment, then we could recruit in person for our first outreach booth activity. And that might be something that is really helpful to the city. I think you all know how hard it can be to fill committees and recruit volunteers. But if we wanted to commit to doing that in May, that would involve extending the recruitment a week or two. So here's, a look at what tabling and outreach might look like. And we may want to consider having a booth activity. So here it looks like an example that Parks may have put together, like voting with the dots. Another one might be marking on a map, where did you come from, or what mode of transportation did you take to get here today? And let me clarify, as staff, this would be something that I could take ownership of, and I'd like input from you what you'd like. But as far as developing the activity or making the flyers, I view that as something that I should produce for you. And I'll work on getting the, the basic tabling, so the tablecloth and all of these things. So what you would mainly be doing is talking to the public. So I'll provide the outreach materials and booth, but you would help with facilitating those conversations and those activities and recruiting of the emails. Let's see. So I'll have this by email. If we are interested, we can do something like this and sign up for shifts. I'm thinking to people to run the Citizen Advisory Committee table, so you have some support. And then, I should also describe that we're discussing having a combination of tables together. So one main booth, but the city staff can have a table in that booth. And then Citizens Advisory Committee can have a table as well. So we can help each other, support each other, direct citizens and visitors back and forth between the tables, and maybe a third table for another. What's the third one that you're thinking of, Marley? Share, yeah.
We can discuss layouts and try to figure out the best strategy, but for the first Friday events in Marley Boxer speaking for the transcriber, but we had the city staff have a table outside of City Hall. A lot of people came and visited that table and just asked, like, who are you? What are you doing? What are you selling? And of course, we weren't selling anything other than love our city. But we were able to talk with a lot of citizens and provide information on city services, but also public service announcements, information on tourism, and just another space to be available for people who have questions. And so I think that staff would love the opportunity to be able to share that space with the Citizens Advisory Committee and be able to continue that public engagement process and maybe have a strategy behind it with some of these outreach opportunities that Melissa is talking about.
Thank you, Marley. So this brings us back to the question and discussion slide that I showed at the beginning. So I'd like to hear more from all of you about event support. Does this sound like something that you'd like to do, outreach at the events? And if so, how many might that look like? Is that each first Friday between May and October? And maybe a little bit more about the topics that you would like to tackle at those, if you're interested. If committee recruitment in May is a topic that you're interested in. And then if we want to talk about increasing public participation, subcommittees, champion newsletter, open to that too. So Chair Reynolds, I'll give it back to you to facilitate questions and discussion.
Great. Could I bother you to stop sharing the screen?
Sure.
So I can see everybody.
Absolutely.
And if you would like to join the conversation, if you would use your raised hand icon on your Zoom, that would be great. Waving in front of your camera also works. All right. Twyla?
Yes, this is Twyla. I just want to jump back to something we talked about a little bit earlier in your presentation. And that was working on the community engagement piece. And that really strikes me. I work in Portland, but I work with a couple of people from Troutdale, and we frequently talk about these meetings and such, and they're very engaged and want more information. And so I think I like that idea of maybe having a QR code or something where we can just people see what we're going to talk about and they have some way to give input, because at the end of the day, they're very tired and don't really want to come to a meeting or able, but certainly love to hear about the topics and want to give some feedback. So that I think that would be a way that we could really capture some of the spirit of kind of what the community is feeling without maybe doing a survey. So I think that's a great idea.
Thank you, Tom.
Anyone else? Heidi?
Probably talk because I think I brought this up. So I'm nervous about tabling during COVID. But everybody has different thresholds. I'm nervous about it. Summer might feel different, but I know Summerfest last year was not pleasant for me because despite tons and tons of signage saying everybody needed to wear their mask, most people didn't. So I left. My kid still wasn't vaccinated, it's like, because he's under 12. So, I want to do more public engagement, but I don't know how much I can commit to doing it in person right now. I think I think all of these ideas are really strong, and I think we should do it. It's just a really weird, hard time. I think asking us to commit to every first Friday might be a bit more than this crew can handle. Prove me wrong. Maybe every other week, every other month, you know, definitely at Summerfest. And you know, with Summerfest, I'm probably not alone, and maybe there would be a way to do it virtually as well, like just to like, look, I know you're not going to come down to the Summerfest, but we still want to hear from you, that kind of thing. Like maybe we could. Thank you for doing that work, looking into Wood Village. I thought that data was really interesting, even though it was a small sample size, it was still interesting. And I love that they got triple the response this time around. So that's great. And thank you for all the work you did on that data visualization. It was really helpful to have the graphs and I don't know how to reach people who are low income and people of color. And I want their voices to be heard in our transportation planning, in our downtown planning, in our land use planning. And the digital divide is real. And the just time commitment that it takes to come to meetings, much less like, find childcare, like your scheduling, like what if you're working right now, if your shift is a night shift. So just more we can stay open, stay having these conversations. I think it's super important. We have some big land use decisions coming up in town, and people need to be able to feel like their voice matters, So thank you for having this conversation. Please keep having it.
Thank you, Heidi. Will?
Yeah, great comments, Heidi. I also agree with that. Thank you so much for the time and effort putting that together, Melissa. Thank you. I think one thing is really interesting, and it kind of is ironic in that with such a small sample size, on a survey about public outreach, it kind of shows, where we're at. Couple points that I did notice that seemed to be effective, like you mentioned, Heidi, was the tripling of it by offering an incentive to do it, a prize drawing, something like, something to win. And it tripled it. But even up to this point, you're looking at 1.6% engagement based upon the population of Wood Village, and that's really small. So I can see that we're not the only municipality here that is struggling with this topic. That being said, I do like the idea of the booth and creating that as an opportunity for additional public engagement. Over the past few years, as part of my work, has been doing events showcasing the business, and the way that we try to gain additional interest and engagement is through the social media platform. And it also showed in that survey that most people were using mobile to fill out those surveys. And generally what will have happen is some sort of incentive for people to follow the page, like, possibly repost, tag a friend, and so on. And that kind of tricks the algorithm to make sure that our content pops up on their page because they have engaged with us on social media. And so if potentially we could use Marley's help somehow, because it would benefit the entire town, not just our committee, to help have this engagement on social media where people are going to find out about the events, whether it's one of the 4 events or one of our seemingly boring meetings that nobody wants to attend. Yeah, if there's any direction or thought in wanting to do that, I would be happy to help share information with that sort of project, as well as happy to staff a booth and help people get engaged with earning the prize, and then getting on that sort of algorithm loop of engagement. So again, yeah, stressful, weird time. And hopefully by this summer, we'll have a better resolution to where we're at with this whole COVID thing. So that's all I have. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. All right, David?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. I do have a few general comments. I was surprised in the survey from Wood Village that their website, as using that as a source, was extremely low. This may get to the digital divide that Heidi mentioned. But if that is not a good form of communicating, I think we need to rethink about our electronic medium in terms of communicating with people. That one bothered me. Wood Village wants email. I'm opposed to that, in that it's going to be, it sounds like what they're saying is email everybody in their jurisdiction. And I think that would be extremely unwieldy unless they voluntarily gave their email somehow. And then how do you track it to make sure that when they move, they continue to get things, I guess. Seems like a lot of staff issues to go with that. One of the things that's in our scope is in the committee was to balance the cost of engagement versus a person's right to know. And that one struck me. Balance is a weird word. I think we do need to make and encourage people to be engaged in their community. But according to our bylaw, or our understanding of how this committee works out, was our role. And given that, I don't understand where it seems like if we're going to be functioning downtown on First Fridays, that goes outside the scope somewhat to me. But I have done those in the past. I've done several with the Parks Advisory Committee, and they are a good opportunity to meet people. But I question whether the First Fridays are going to have the group of people that we can attract to be get information for engagement, because the last time I was there for the parks, it was people are interested in the specifics, but not necessarily in improving the city. They want to know very specific, detailed information and how that affects them. And that part's good. Don't misunderstand. It's a different role. And I don't know where I am with that. Because of the time commitment, like Heidi, I'm a little unsure about the timing. I know I've got some conflicts with a few months. But if there was a specific topic attached to a specific month and I could fit it in, I'd be happy to do it. Because I want to know, and I'm interested to see if there's any beneficial result. The dark side of me says this is a waste of time, but the bright side says you got to check it out and see. So that's where I am with that. Finally, on the booth, Marley mentioned, by the way, the downtown with its closing, I think that's been great. That's really changed the dynamic and does really cool things for downtown. But I'm not sure having the booth where it is the best use of our time, because most people walking by there are just walking, and there's nothing to attract them. There's nothing to really say, here's something of interest. There's no whiz bang. We're not serving food. We're not giving them beers. There's, there's just, it's boring. So I don't know if a change of location would change that, or having somebody with a big question mark on her hat and say, ask me about something. Needs more than a booth. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any other feedback or questions?
I do, but Marley's hand is up.
Hi, Marley.
I was hoping I could,
You absolutely
participate
can.
as well. Just because both everyone has said things that I thought were very well thought out and important topics. It's really refreshing to see how much thought you guys are putting into this, and you're all bringing up very, very important points. So I wanted to say thank you for the conversation. When Will was talking, one of the things that I kind of thought of when he was mentioning how Wood Village had a much more successful turnout when they offered the chance at a free gift. It sort of reminded me of what we did with the Winter Wonderland event when we created the scavenger hunt. And that if you participated in the scavenger hunt and did all of the steps, you would get a free gift. And when we first created the event, we weren't sure how many people were going to do it. Some of my coworkers were like, no one's going to do this. This is too much work for someone to do. Like, you're asking too much of people. People will do a lot of stuff, free things. That's what we kind of learned through all of that, was that it was shocking to us how many, this was like the hit of town. Everyone was running around doing this scavenger hunt. We were all blown away by the amount of people that were involved with it. And so I know that Wood Village had done, the chance at winning a free gift, but now that Troutdale has the community branding and people are really interested in seeing that on things, it could be something where if the CAC wanted to do a survey or some sort of process to get more engagement, if they could hand out, free community branded Troutdale items that were low cost to produce, it might be able to increase some of that engagement as well. And there was a couple of points that David had mentioned, which I was trying so hard to remember to go back to them. But I think the first thing he had mentioned was whether the first Friday Art Walk is the best location for reaching the community members that you're wanting to reach. And that did make me realize a good point. During my presentation, I had mentioned to you all that there was two different categories of city run events. There was the tourism and economic development events, and then there was the parks and recreation events. And if our goal for the tourism events is to increase people from outside of the community coming into our community, that actually might not be the best avenue for tabling if you're trying to only reach community members about their engagement within Troutdale. But that doesn't mean that maybe the parks and recreation events couldn't be a good avenue as well. So I was thinking that maybe movies in the park could be a better place potentially to do some tabling. It's a free, family-friendly event. So I think that you do also have the potential to reach more families, people with children, people of color, any of our categories. I did work the event last year, and we had a diverse mix of people at the event. And I thought that was refreshing and also surprising given some of the other events that we've had in the past. It's also always held at Columbia Park, which has Imagination Station on it. And Imagination Station is a park that people will absolutely love and adore. And so I just think it's, if you're tabling at that event, you might pick up more than just the people who are at the event for the movie. You could also be getting families that are there to visit the parks. And that got me thinking even further. We have so many great parks in the city. Maybe an event isn't even required for some of the community engagement things. If we had some sort of bulletin board or a place to put those QR codes that you were all discussing about at some of the community parks. Potentially, we could reach more people at those locations as well. People who might not go into City Hall or get their information elsewhere. And then there was one other point that David had made that I wanted to touch on as well, and I'm not remembering what it was, so I'll just stop there.
This is Diane. So given what Marley said, we might consider a one downtown first Friday and maybe one movie night. That way we hit both. And I know people like to get stuff, so I was thinking like it'd be really cool if anybody who would come to our booth and then engage with us, that they would get a raffle ticket, and maybe you guys can come up with the next Troutdale t-shirt, the cool one with the fish and then the rainbow in the back.
Mhm.
You know, something like that, so then we could display them, and then it's something to incentivize, because Troutdale people would be really encouraged to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To like walk towards the booth, especially being by the city, the city people as well. So that's the thought for maybe getting people over. For the paper, maybe we can have an article actually on the first page, and it's why volunteer? Why be on a volunteer committee? And then do a little short story about like when we came up with the resolution about chickens. You know, or, you know, something fun and with a picture, so it's actually engaging and not just another, oh, Troutdale Council meeting tonight, oh, CAC meeting tonight, planning committee tonight. So there's something to distinguish from the, you know, just it looking a little bit more sterile. So if we can put, you know, human face component on it, so that, and then we could do that way in advance. So let's say we do the May, or if we might, maybe May's too soon, whatever month we pick to do first Friday. And then make sure we get in the paper in time. So then we could also let them know that we are going to be at, you know, at that booth, you know, just to go along with QR codes and the other things. So we could kind of like mesh it all in together. Thank you, Diane. Victoria?
The reason that May would be good is because we're trying to recruit for new members. So May would be good in that sense. Because, you know, everybody's term ends in June now. So we'd be recruiting for new members. But we'd have to make sure that the deadline was like in May.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was thinking of. And the other two things, I'm just going to comment now. I am really disappointed about Summerfest. I've lived in Troutdale a long time, very long. And it has always been a part of our summer. It's the small town feel. It has every generation. The kids love it. And I would really hate to see that go. We can always make accommodations for emergency crews. And I don't think that would be too hard to do. I mean, people move out of the way if an ambulance has to come through, or the fire department has to come through. And then the other thing, a more fun one that's not on the calendar because it's just a little one, is in October for Halloween, we do the trick or treat with all the things. And I know you've heard me say this before, but I think that one year that we did it before COVID and everything, we had a booth and we did get quite a bit of interest, you know. And so we had a booth, we passed out our own candy. Was it candy, Diane? Yeah. And then lots of people came up and were interested and talked to us. So.
Yeah, and the trick or treating actually did happen this year. It's more of an organic event that almost gets put on by itself. It's not really it's not really one that gets planned necessarily. We just choose the day, and then everyone brings candy on that day. So that's at least how it happened last year. And last year there was a huge turnout. And all of the businesses said they'd never seen so many people at that event before. And I was out of town that day, so I didn't get to see it, but I heard great things about it. And we could potentially do structure it a little bit more and add the ability to
I
have
thought
booths
we
or
were
something like that
successful
too.
that year. We got a lot of interest
Yeah.
and had our little banner up and everything.
Mhm. Yeah, I
We
love
were
that
right
idea.
in front of Mayor Square.
Mhm. Yep.
Thank you, Victoria. Any further questions or comments? Public members, would you like to question or comment on this topic?
I can kind of,
Well, I'm
oh, go ahead.
just interrupted. My 2 cents is just, I love the presentation. I love all the work that you did to make it work. It was terrific. And I love all those stats, even though I don't like stats, but it was great to know about how the Wood Village thing went, because that could help us. I still am leery of the COVID thing, but it will give us an opportunity to strategize so that if it ever subsides, we'll have a plan in place that'll be ironclad. And I think I had to step away, but I think I heard David say he'd be willing to pop out of a cake at the booth dressed in Troutdale t-shirts. So I think that would really work too. But we have to give people something at the booth that they can see from 10 feet away that they might want, and have them not think that they're going to have to sign up for something.
Mm.
Like they're going to be asked to sign up for something. So, but I think that we have an opportunity because of COVID to figure out how we're going to meet these demands when it's on its way out, if it ever is.
Thank you, Alexander.
Okay, I could kind of do a wrap up of,
that'd be great.
okay, so I think what I've heard is first, that this would be, doing every first Friday would be a lot of commitment, like too much for us. And I understand that. I think that's really good feedback. And I also heard from Marley that maybe movies in the park might be a better audience, that we would reach people that would be more inclined to come to our meetings, more locals. So combining that, and from what Diane was saying, maybe for first year, it might work for us to maybe choose 2 events, one first Friday and one movie. I think COVID is a very real concern, and I respect that not everybody would want to come and volunteer at this or attend the event. And I think that's really important. And I am glad that many of you participate virtually for this meeting. So I think maybe if we just kept it to 2 events, we wouldn't have to staff it as much, and please don't feel pressured to come at all. So maybe let's try that this year, and then that will help us strategize for future years when hopefully COVID is less of a concern. We could have these trial runs this year and be prepared for that day when we can all get together as we used to, and we all look forward to that, I know. Several people mentioned the idea of a raffle, and I think that we do have some things, maybe Troutdale Teddy, or we've got some really nice water bottles where we can find some other prize. But I think that yes, very helpful. And I can understand the hesitation of how do we get people to come to our booth. I can open to your thoughts on this, and I can help think about this as well. Before I came to planning, I worked in environmental outreach, and so working at booths is something that I've done a lot of. And what I used to do is come up with games to teach about recycling and to engage families. So it might be something like a wheel that spins, and then you have to answer how to recycle what item it landed on. Or I had another one that was, you reach your hand into a box and you feel an item in there, and it's something that can be recycled. And then you do the next one, and you reach in, and it's what it might be made into. And the kids kind of have to guess, what that is. Oh, it's a plastic water bottle. Oh, this is a fleece jacket, as they're feeling around. So things like that, I'd be happy to try and think of what is that thing that might draw people, that wow factor, what's going to get them to come and like, oh, I want to play this game, or, oh, I want to talk to this person, or that sounds fun, or, so something like that to combine with a raffle to make it sort of engaging to come. So I can do that, and then maybe 2 events is not biting off more than we can chew. There's something else I wanted to comment on. Maybe after that, we come back to fall and see if trick or treating is something we want to do, so we can kind of put that on the, let that simmer for a little bit and come back to that idea after we've tested out the spring and summer. And if we did May for the first Friday, that'd allow us to do committee member outreach. Does that sound okay for the first Friday to do May? I see some nodding. Okay.
I will
let's-
volunteer.
Can you volunteer? That would be wonderful. Okay, great. Great, and we'll follow up by email. For any city event, if you would like to, they can always use general support. So, feel free to contact Marley to sign up for that if you wish. Okay, I hope that covered it for a summary on the fly. I really appreciate your thoughtful comments, and this was, I think, really helpful, and I look forward to continuing public engagement conversations in the future.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you, Melissa.
Future meeting topics. Y'all have had a month or so to think about this topic. Does anybody have any future meeting topics they'd like to throw out there? Is that a resounding no? I hear crickets.
One thought.
Twilight?
In one of our other meetings that we had, our safety meeting, we had some high school students that called in and participated. And I just thought that was a really great way to get kind of some other community members, but also kids engaged. And so as we're thinking about future meeting topics and reaching out, I wonder, it would be great to maybe see if we had some students or somebody that wanted to attend further classes, things like that.
Yeah, Reynolds High School, and that's where they were from the other night. I was hoping they'd show up tonight.
Yeah.
And I think they do it for one of their government
I
classes.
was just thinking that it would be a perfect opportunity for a government class.
And there was a few of them, and I had them in middle school, and I remember, which was fun. But yeah, and I think they get credit and everything for sitting in. And they were stayed the whole meeting, and yeah, we could reach out to the high school and to the government teachers.
Well, and maybe Mount Hood Community College too, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, a good idea.
All right. Of course, if you think, Heidi?
My kid wants me to ask if we can have a public pool in a new community center, please.
That's a question for the Parks Committee meeting. Wrong committee meeting.
And the lottery.
Oh,
Yes, Diane,
uh-huh.
now that we're talking about this, we were talking about engaging people of maybe different areas of our community that aren't represented. It might not be a bad idea, like there's an apartment complex behind the old Safeway. If we put up a flyer and we say, would you like to be a guest at the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting? And then we could include them as, so I'm just saying, if somebody might be interested, and then they could come and just sit in on a meeting and participate with us in conversation for just that meeting, so they're not technically a CMC member. But that might be a way that we could get people comfortable and not, and just maybe get them to think about something like that. So it would just be as simple as a flyer. And I think that one might also have a community mail room. And of course, it'd have to, yeah. So it is just a thought. That might be a way to get people business.
Victoria?
I have a question for Will. Are you still here, Will? Oh, hi. I'm trying to, what was the one we did down at Oxbow Park and we were handing out all the water bottles? What was that event?
I'm pretty sure that was Summerfest,
Was that
and that was a really good one. What was her name? I think her name was Breezy that was running the meetings, and she put together the kids pool, and we had the fishing, maybe I think it was fishing in the kids pool, something like that. But it was the draw, and it brought the kids over, which brought the parents over, and then we asked the questions on the survey with the parents. It was a great way to engage. Yeah, and like Melissa mentioned, I've done a ton of these booths where you're trying to get people to come over and engage, and free stuff, giveaways, stickers, anything, and balloons go a long way. Also the prize wheel thing, or the spin to win, or anything. It's kind of gimmicky, it's silly, but it really does get people to stop. They're there to enjoy, they're there to experience. You have to give them an exciting reason to come over and say hi to you and get their ear. What we do from there is I'm completely open and up to. Like I mentioned, a good portion of what I was doing was trying to capture that social media, and then get the engagement to get that information in front of them. I did look earlier, and great job getting the information up on Facebook and Instagram regarding this meeting. However, it was only Paul and Diane that liked the post on Facebook. So there's no way to engage those. Hey, we're 100%, 2 for 2 on getting those people to like the post of the meeting tonight. So, but yes, I hope that answers your question, Victoria.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that, if we do Summerfest, that was a successful event.
Yeah, that was 2019. I do remember that. So I was there for that one. That was the last one that we had. And on the topic of Summerfest, if that is something that you guys are passionate, I would definitely say bring that up to council and letting them know that that is an event that you'd like to see. I have asked my RC manager and whatnot, are we supposed to be planning this event? What's supposed to be happening with this event? And we haven't really gotten clear direction on that one. So if that is something that you're passionate about, I would definitely recommend bringing that up to council. But that was a great event that you guys have put on during that Summerfest. And one of the thoughts with Bill's comment on social media, I love the idea of getting people to follow the social media pages at the events. And we have 2 social media pages right now. We have the City of Troutdale. We also have Explore Troutdale. Explore Troutdale is the tourism side of things. So we get to talk about, more of the fun stuff on there, like what's going on with businesses and downtown and events and whatnot. And it's a really fun page. So if you don't follow it, you should. But also, it might be worth it to, I know we use the same image for all of the meetings for both the Planning Commission, CAC, City Council. They all get the same image of this room with the city seal on top of it. And one of the suggestions that CAC might want to make is potentially having more interesting imagery for at least CAC, considering it is about citizens advisory, and we do have a couple of those good photos of public engagement at events and whatnot. It might be worth it to have some variety in the photos with those. And I think that might increase the engagement. Right now, I think everyone knows that that's a public meeting event, that they'll just keep scrolling by it.
Would we be willing to be in a photo tonight? No?
It doesn't matter, we all have our masks.
That's right, that's right. Hi Heidi, what can we do for you?
We took that picture. Remember when several of us we were downtown and we did take a picture. Will, did we take it on your camera? Do you remember that? It's this summer, I think. Anyway, never mind.
No, it was either Diane or Glenn took the picture of us all standing in the middle
Oh
of
yeah,
the
Glenn
street.
took it, Diane.
I'll look for him.
Okay, cool. What about the cruise-in? Is that happening?
Yes, that is
Okay, cool.
Kiwanis, and that is happening. I believe they want to have it the first Saturday of August, which is actually a good thing to get your opinions on. First Friday in August is obviously the First Friday Art Walk, which is from 5 to 8 in the evening, and then the cruise-in usually starts in the morning. And last year was the first year that we had these two road closures happening back to back. We did receive some public comment from people who live close to the downtown area about the impact two road closures in 2 days had on them personally. And so we're not sure if it's smart to double up events like that with road closures, or if there's any thoughts from you all on what might be the best way to handle that. Or if you think it's something that shouldn't matter, we should just move forward with it.
Twyla?
Yeah, this is Twyla. I live just a couple blocks up the hill, and I've just been really impressed with the flow of traffic coming home during some of those events. I was like, oh, I should have gone a different way, but I was able to get up in a very timely manner. So I thought it was managed very well in those occasions.
Great to know, thanks.
Are we moving on to staff communications?
Sure. I have a few visuals for this one this time as well. And I know we're going a little later than usual, so I'll try not to take too long. I wanted to let you know that City Hall has sold, and that Away Day Brewing will be renovating it and trying to keep that historic style to the building, but we have this new business to look forward to in our future. I also wanted to share on the screen again the email for Leslie with Home Forward. We've had a lot of conversation about them, their new project near 257th, and you are welcome to send any feedback that you have directly to the Home Forward staff. She's offered for me to share her email. And they've pushed back. I mentioned that they were going to have a community advisory committee meeting and that we would be able to attend if we were interested in that. And that's been pushed back a little bit. It's going to be in either March or April. She will let me know when it's going to be, or you can send an email to Leslie and let her know you'd like to be on that distribution list if you'd like to be invited to that. And they have their pre-application coming up with the city, so that will be their first official meeting with us. Because of our scheduling change for the transportation system plan presentations, we've moved the requested equity presentation. That will be not, what is it, February now, March. That'll be in April instead of March. We'll hear from Kittleson Associates next month. So that's still on our schedule. The food cart pod, I was asked last time about how far along they've come, and it's being built. It's pretty far along if you've been down 257th. So they've just submitted for their sign application is the newest step that they've made, but they've made quite a bit of building progress on that one so far. I wanted to come back to the 2nd Street Bridge. I was asked a couple questions on that project. As far as, I think ownership and maintenance, the plan would be for Multnomah County to be the owner and to maintain the bridge. So there are some conversations and steps that we still need to take to ensure that that would happen. But we're in conversation with Multnomah County right now. And for that reason, if we are to seek grant funding for it, that's probably going to be next year. So this project still has some, growing steps to take before it is ready. So we're probably won't do this fund round with the Metro grant that's open right now. The Riverfront Trail is what we'll probably be applying for the Metro grant that's open right now. I presented that recently to the Parks Advisory Committee. We're at the 60% design phase for this trail. We're moving to the 90% design phase. And I just got feedback from the Parks Committee that will be implemented in the next design phase. And our next meeting for the transportation system plan will be March and then in May. A couple of slides to show you of, this is the 60% design plan cover page that I shared with Parks. And I wanted to show you some examples of some of the nature play equipment that we are looking at. And I got some good feedback on this equipment. And here's a look into the plan. This is the first nature play area that would be along the Riverfront Trail, and some of the elements that would be there. So if you're interested in this, this could be a future meeting topic if you'd like a presentation in full about the Riverfront Trail. And then I wanted to come back to, this is again our transportation system plan schedule. So you can see March, Kittleson and Associates is coming, and they'll be presenting on existing and future needs. And then in May, we can expect to go through those red line reviews. And finally, I wanted to share with you that TRIMA is recruiting a member for one of their committees. It's House Bill 2017 Transit Advisory Committee. They're specifically looking for a transit rider east of 82nd. And this person will advise on how implementation from Housing Bill 2017, also called Keep Oregon Moving. And they will advise to the Oregon Transportation Committee on increasing transit and ridership and services. They meet monthly. It looks like third Thursdays, 8:30 to 10. They have virtual meetings using the service WebEx. And if you were interested in sitting on this committee, I can send your contact information and your interest to Multnomah County, who are recruiting for this advisory committee. And then I think if you sat on the committee, it would be wonderful to come back to CAC and during your committee member report, if you wanted to share with us what they've been talking about at the committee and help keep us informed. So I just wanted to let you know that that opportunity is available. Or if you know somebody, feel free to pass that on as well, if you know somebody else that might be interested in that. Okay, thank you. That's the staff report.
Thank you. What's your screen now?
Yes.
Thank you. So it's just hard to see everybody.
Oh, no, understood. Thank you.
No worries. All right, staff, committee member comments tonight. I'm just going to start at the top of the screen. Twyla?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to thank you guys both for your thoughtful presentations. I really enjoyed the discussion. And it is silly, but what I was really excited about was the thought of having the Christmas lights on the businesses downtown, and what a great draw that would be. I know many people go to certain areas in Washington just because of that spirit at Christmas time. So great discussion. Thank you.
Heidi?
Thanks. I was trying to find the name of it, but I went to the event that Sandy Glantz, Commissioner Glantz, and is her name Wendy Lawton, Sandy? The gal in the commissioner?
It was Wendy Lawton and Gyro and Scott from Wood Village.
Thank you. So they hosted, and Alexander and I both went they hosted an event on, it's kind of a teach-in about houselessness, like who is either houseless or in danger of being houseless in our community. And it was really great. I don't know who else was there. Maybe some of you were also there, but felt like let's see, one of the sheriffs who came to speak to us last year that's on the Hope team spoke and gave some interesting statistics. A woman who works for Reynolds High School and for homeless students shared that there's, did she say 800
It's a
homeless
lot.
kids?
Yeah, it's a lot. I learned a lot.
800. Yeah. So, and we learned about, you know, stuff that we've talked about in this committee before with the housing needs analysis in terms of how many people are rent burdened. And so anyway, I wanted to shout out that was a great event, and learned a lot, and thank you. And yeah, I hope everyone's staying healthy, and it's good to see your faces.
Thanks for that. Yeah, I learned stuff too. It was kind of one of those with Metro having a lot of money that they're throwing at it. It seems like that all of us need to learn a little bit more. And one of my big takeaways was that, you know, we feel like nothing's getting done, but in fact, there's more and more people who are houseless or homeless. And the fact that it's not even worse than what we know of now is a testament that some things are being done. It's just, our perspective can be skewed that, oh my God, nothing's being done. There's all this money and resources. What are they doing? And it's because more and more people are coming into the problem.
Diane?
I just wanted to put on people's radar. I got a flyer today and it was about the Grand Ron casino that is going to happen in Wood Village. So it had a QR code in it. I just looked at it today, so I haven't really got to see too much about it, but it was for a group that was not positive, but not in favor of. They're stating since the privatized casino gentleman that did the proposal through the state, and that was a location they wanted, a large casino. It was saying that the Grand Ron tribe was in opposition for them to do a huge casino at that location. And now saying that the Grand Ron tribe is wanting to do a casino there, and how it may impact our community through different crime waves, police resources and other things. So first time I've seen that, so that flyer came to my house actually for my daughter. So just, I don't know if anybody has public comment or input, or this coalition group, if they have any means to stop it. I don't know where the application process is for the Grand Ron tribe, but it's just interesting because I do know that I think it's a 20-mile radius when there is a casino in your town, and there's a lot of statistics on what those impacts could possibly be. So just letting you guys know about that. And I am interested, Melissa. Thank you for the meeting tonight. This was very good. I am interested in the learning more about the parks on the waterfront. And the reason is I've been following the bond measure and was part of it for, I don't know, gosh, I've been in this town 31 years. So that's a big interest to even the town center committee. You know, we had comments, we hosted open houses for that. So this is such a wide interest for the community as what will end up being there. So if possible, that would be nice to have a presentation, see what's going on with that. And that's all I have. And thank you, Marlene, for coming.
Thank you, Diane. David?
Nothing additional from me, thanks.
Thank you, David. Amasa?
I just wanted to thank Marley again for that presentation. Just going downtown and participating, like the winter wonderland was so fun for my family. And we did go around to all the businesses and get the stamps. And there were some businesses that I didn't know were there. They're brand new businesses, but it was just such a good opportunity to, you know, engage and see what's new and learn more about recent changes. So the events, we've lived in Troutdale for 6 years. Like even the Halloween event, everything has just been really expanded and just really fun. And it's just good to see so many more people out there. So thank you for all your hard work, because I know that's a lot of work for the city, where you already have other commitments as well. So, and then I too am interested in hearing about the riverfront playground spot that you were talking about, Melissa. And just wanted to say that I would also be willing to volunteer at one of the booths this summer as well. Probably we're going to be gone one of the movie ones, but one of the movie ones.
Thank you. Victoria?
Thank you for your presentations and good discussion again tonight. Thank you. That's it.
Alexander?
I too love the presentations, both of them. They were terrific, and I always learn a little something more than I knew, which is great. Discovery is wonderful. And I'm interested in the waterfront stuff. I think that's a great opportunity, and I'd love to see what's coming. And I believe that's all I've got. The lecture about houselessness was very interesting. And one of the things that I retained from it was that people are starting to get the idea that they won't be able to get people who are experiencing houselessness to some place to get the services and resources that they need, and they might actually have to go to them. So I feel that's a huge emotional, psychological, mental step for the entities that be. And tuned to that, I saw a shower truck in Lewis and Clark. I couldn't see where it came from. I was driving. I couldn't see who was responsible for it, but it was a huge enclosed truck, the shower truck, which is great. I think that's the way to help people. Anyway, thank you both. Thanks to everyone for being here, and I thank the presenters.
Will?
Yeah, again, same sentiments. Melissa, Marley, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that's participated tonight as well. One quick question that's actually surprising me now that I think about it. I don't really have the answer to this. If I were to find, maybe David or Victoria knows, but if I were to notice a space where there's lack of sidewalks, no street lighting, dangerous spot, who do I recommend or who do I go to say, hey guys, maybe take a look at this? I sent Victoria an email because she's the chair of the Public Safety and Equity Committee, but I don't know what all that entails at this point, of what their scope is. But yeah, if anybody has any idea on that, let me know. It's great to see everyone, and catch you next time.
Hi. Marley and Melissa, again, thank you so much for your presentations. I think that unless we have further comments, the meeting is ready to adjourn.
Well, I'll bring that up at the next meeting. I didn't see your email yet, but I will bring that up.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn, Victoria.
Second. Thank you, David. All in favor? Opposed? Our meeting is adjourned. See you next month, guys.
Great.
Stay healthy.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.